Hi, everybody. Today, I am excited to welcome back for, I think, what is this, the fourth or fifth? I don't know. When did you graduate?
Oh my goodness.
I
I'm
think this is
class of 2015.
okay. So
So
this is
yeah,
like fifth time that we're meeting, maybe?
at least.
Wow. So this is Grace Marchena from Lafayette. And I'm, again, super excited I'm always excited to see you, Grace, but I feel like every time we meet, there's always something exciting that's happening at Lafayette or something new. So even though we've met quite a few times over the years, I always feel like you share something that's new and outside of coronavirus and COVID related stuff, which we'll talk about as well. But why don't we start off? You can just share, well, I just said that you're a graduate, so you can share a little bit about who you are so people will know, and then maybe just give us kind of an overview of Lafayette.
Sure, of course I can. So, yes, my name is Grace Marchena. I am an assistant director of admissions at Lafayette College, which is in Easton, Pennsylvania. I am also an alum of Lafayette, so this is now going into my 10th year as part of the Lafayette community as a whole, and just being part of it all. So that's kind of exciting for me, I guess, to have seen the changes that the college has gone through over time. It's a place that I like quite a bit, as you can see from which is actually from my college days. Picked that up at a football game way back. So just a quick overview of kind of what Lafayette is all about if you are not super familiar with us. So we're a small liberal arts college, again, out in Easton, Pennsylvania. That is right on the Delaware River. It's an awesome location since we are an hour and a half away from New York City, as well as Philadelphia. We're pretty much where the two connect, if you kind of drew lines. And that also means we've got proximity to the Poconos for skiing or to the Jersey Shore for some beach time. So absolutely awesome location. Our small city of Easton is also a pretty historic one, where the Declaration of Independence was read back in 1776. And we've got the longest running open air farmers market in the country as well. It's awesome. So a very, very cool place to be, first of all. And then we've got this kind of quaint little campus that sits up on a hill. Very residential campus with typically about 96% of our students living on campus. Not quite the case for this year, since we are virtual. There are some students on campus, students who needed the resources that campus can provide, but we are virtual for this fall 20 semester, and that was decided in kind of late July for us. So it's the world that we're living in.
Yes.
There's some really awesome kind of resources and just kind of hallmarks of Lafayette that I think make us stand out a little bit, especially amongst other small liberal arts colleges, because I know there's a lot of them, and I know that it can kind of get, it can get a little overwhelming as you're kind of looking down the list. So I think Lafayette stands out a bit because not only are we a small liberal arts college, but we're known for sciences and engineering, in fact. And we've been doing engineering for over 150 years. It's not a separate engineering school. It's within the liberal arts college. So our engineers are extremely well-rounded. But that also means that our brand and our vision of the liberal arts has almost a scientific twist to it, where our students are extremely involved with research. Over half of our students are involved with research projects before they graduate, sometimes culminating in published works in peer-reviewed journals or presenting at undergraduate research conferences. Really exciting stuff. I think we've got a really practical look at the liberal arts. While still having amazing opportunities, of course, within the arts and getting involved with theater and music and everything there. We do have Greek life on campus, just in terms of activities and campus life and what our students are doing. And we also have 23 Division I athletic programs as well. So packed into this small liberal arts college, you've also got some big talent and some big school spirit as well. And of course, some of that will come a little bit from our rivalry with Lehigh University. We've now 154 times in football, which is the most played college football rivalry in the country. So there's certainly quite a bit of spirit that goes along with that. As you can see from the poster, Lafayette Leopards, so leopard print, always in style. It's a good place to be. I hope that kind of gives a good...
No, I love that. It was, yeah, it was great. So a couple questions, going back to the engineering program, is that direct entry? How does the application process work? Does it differ for engineering than it does, you just apply to Lafayette and check engineering?
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, you don't even technically need to check engineering, but most students do. We don't require that students declare a major when they come in. We don't require that students apply to any specific program. You are just applying to the liberal arts college, to Lafayette. Although I think most students do have an intended major when they come in. It's about maybe 10 to 20% that come in completely undecided. I mentioned we're about a quarter engineering or so, and it's not any kind of separate application or anything like that. And the nice thing is, if you're thinking about engineering, you can start there with the Engineering Studies 101 class. That'll really give you an excellent view of different fields of engineering, and I think really help solidify for students if, yeah, engineering is a thing you want to do, and which type, or actually, maybe not. Maybe I instead want to do, you know, physics or biology, or, you know, totally throw everything in the air and you know, go over to anthropology or English. And that's fine too. You're still on track. And because we've got a common core, that engineering class will still count as a natural science. So you're good.
I love, and that's one of the things, this engineering piece, I think is something that's actually, because it's different, because it's part of the liberal arts, like you said, which is not always the case. And I do like that you said, you know, your engineering students are become very well-rounded. They're probably they can probably have excellent writing skills, public speaking skills, you know, a lot of those things. And I've heard in the past that, you know, when engineers are going into the workforce, for example, that the most successful engineers are actually those who are able to speak and write really well. And also they can explain things in layman's terms, you know, so because they've been, you know, maybe through a liberal arts type of program, and those are the ones who are advancing even further in, you know, in their careers because of that. They don't just have the technical skills, they actually have all these other things that are brought to them by having a liberal arts study type of program. So I think that's great. I love that program that you have.
Yeah.
What did you study?
I was in English and psychology double major, and I picked up a minor in theater because I took too many electives. So it's a liberal arts thing. It just kind of happens sometimes.
And so tell us a little bit about opportunities for things like internships and study abroad. In normal times, what do those things look like at Lafayette?
Sure. So kind of two separate things. First, on the internship and really just experiential learning side of things. I always direct students first to our Gateway Career Center. That's where they're going to start getting the help. Is I know some students come into college and they kind of do have a path, and they know the kinds of internships that they're going to be wanting to look for, and they're just asking how soon can they get those. And then there are also students who come in and have no idea what they want to be when they grow up, kind of like me. So, you know, they kind of maybe need a little bit more guidance, need somebody to talk to who can kind of help them, you know, work out what some options are. And Gateway is going to help students no matter what, you know, position they're kind of starting from. And it is a 4-year program, so it starts early on. You know, they'll meet you where you are. You'll get to know your career counselor, and it's one person that you keep going to and you make appointments with. It's not the kind of thing where you're, you know, just seeing whoever is free that day and having to re-explain every time. It's someone on campus you build a relationship with, just like you would with your academic advisors and your professors. It's someone who can kind of help you through the process. You know, and then they're able to help start talking about our alumni network and just building your network and how that can help you find shadowing opportunities actually through our career center, where you're able to go in with an alumni, see what their job is like, try it out for a couple of days. This is usually in that January interim session. That's something that can lead to jobs and internships down the line, those connections. It's many of our graduates who do cite the alumni network specifically as helping them find their job when they graduate. It's an absolutely fantastic resource for our students.
Who are some notable alumni, or what are
Yeah.
what are notable alumni doing? What are some of the things that you guys are most proud of?
Well, the first alumni, admittedly, that came to mind was Joe Madden, who is the, or I think was, the general manager, or the manager of the Cubs when they won the World Series. So he, of course, came to mind for me. We've also got alumni at ExxonMobil, I believe, one of the CEOs in charge. I know kind of more recent alums and students my age, and just of the friends that I can think of off the top of my head. I know students who are in law school, who have already finished law school and are kind of on their way, students who are in medical school, and many who are also working in New York, some on Wall Street. Economics is our most popular major, and given our proximity to New York, I understand why a lot of students go that direction as well.
Cool. So the other thing, so study abroad, what kinds of opportunities do you guys have for study abroad? And are the programs, are they through Lafayette? Are they third-party programs? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yep, we've got both. And it is about 60% of our students that study abroad. I honestly have even heard from students that study abroad is one of the reasons they're looking at Lafayette, because we do have so many options. And that includes for engineers, which I think is an important thing to note, since nationally, that isn't as common, that engineers are able to study abroad. Natural science majors are able to study abroad while still graduating in 4 years. But we make that a priority. We want students, if they want that experience, to be able to kind of see the world. So we do have specific Lafayette run programs. This would be a case where a Lafayette professor is going with you and maybe a cohort of, I don't know, anywhere from 15 to 20 or 30 students or so. The engineering programs are in Madrid, Spain, and Bonn, Germany. And then there are also programs that go pretty much every fall to London and also to Costa Rica. So you've got those semester run programs through Lafayette, in addition to a Lafayette run programs for our interim sessions as well. So you've got a pretty long break between the fall and the spring semesters in January. So that's actually a time that students can study abroad as well. They get a full class credit for that as well. So it's in that 3 weeks, it's kind of jam-packed in. They've got class every day. It's just happening in Hawaii while you're talking about volcanoes while standing on them. Or, there's a trip that goes to New Zealand. There's a trip that goes to China, one that went to South Africa. We went to Cuba when the United States and Cuba kind of, worked out a deal that people could actually travel there. Students went and were studying there for a couple weeks as well. It's some pretty awesome opportunities. And then that's in addition to the third-party programs that will also allow students to go on. So honestly, on our study abroad website, that's where I usually direct students to, because there's an interactive map. You can see the locations all across the world where our students have gone to in the past. There's a lot of options. It's amazing. You'll click on Italy and you'll see, 5 or 10 different cities that students have gone to, and then even individual different programs for each city. So you can find a program that matches your academic interests and not just where you want to go.
That's awesome. So with that break between the fall and the spring semester, is there a requirement that students are doing something during that time, or that's an optional additional thing that they can do?
Yeah, it's an option. I think students take advantage of it in different ways. Probably the most common thing that students do are those shadowing opportunities that I mentioned. Gateway Career Center, those externships, those happen during the interim. And there's hundreds of opportunities for students to do those. So that's probably the most common thing. Then you've got the interim abroad trips. There will be some classes on campus, but not too many.
Got it. So let's talk about the admission process and what that's
Sure.
like for students. And also I'd love to maybe pick your brain a little bit about what you see as potential changes or impact of things happening now
Oh
or
yeah.
not. Maybe there's no impact in the future for Lafayette applicants in terms of like class of 2021, class of 2022, if they're, will their process be different? Are there things that you'll be looking at differently when you're reviewing applicants this year? Tell us a little bit about the process and all of those kinds of things.
Sure, sure. I know a lot of reps say that their process is holistic. Ours is as well. And I think it is especially so this year since we are, as many institutions have gone, test optional for the class of 2021 because we know what's going on, with the testing dates and the sites and everything. So we are not requiring standardized testing for this class. I'm not sure what will be happening in years to come. I have my own opinions on it, but for this year, at least, we are test optional. So that's new for us, and I think will make our process more holistic than it even has been in the past, which I'm really, really excited about. We really are looking at the whole student, doing our best to really get to know them. And, certainly the transcript is going to carry the most weight. We are looking for students who have challenged themselves, certainly honors level, AP level courses, and typically have about an A-, B+ average or so in terms of like a profile. But the rest really is getting to know students through their essays, through their letters of recommendation from teachers and from the counselors that know them, right, and can speak to who they are as a student. We're looking at the activity page on the Common Application. We want to hear and know a little bit more about what are students passionate about. Like, we've got a lot of clubs and activities going on our campus. There's no way we would sustain the number that we have if we, weren't admitting and looking for students who are already, involved and have these really strong passions that they want to continue. So certainly that's part of it. We're really hoping to get to know the student and kind of meet them where they are. And part of that certainly can be an interview, not required, but if students are really excited about us, highly recommended. They're all virtual now. So, it's honestly pretty easy to find them. They're on our website, and you don't have to go anywhere. You just have to click in.
Is there anything, I know obviously you said the strength of the transcript has been important and will continue to be important. Are there any additional things that are replacing the weight that you would put on the testing that you don't have now? Is that just a deeper focus on the transcript and the rigor of the coursework that the student has taken?
I don't think it's any one thing, or at least that's how I'm going to go into this. And I've been reading and hearing a lot from kind of the college admissions world, if you will, and hearing about what other schools have done and how their process maybe changed or didn't when they went test optional. And I think, it is kind of an emphasis just on a little bit of everything else. And I don't think that, the impact of testing, which, was part of the process before and certainly not the most important thing. I don't think that, I don't think it's like a strict percentage, but I don't think that weight is being put on any one thing. I really do see it kind of being distributed out, as we just, really get to know a student as well as we possibly can as, admissions reps.
Is demonstrated interest important?
Yeah, that's certainly part of it. And we also know that looks different this year. And that's been, totally thrown a little bit. So we understand that many students have not been able to visit campus this year. We are now allowing students on campus for self-guided tours, which I will mention. So that is a possibility if students kind of want to, drive up and walk around a little bit while, of course, wearing a mask and having appropriate social distancing on campus. We've also got a lot of virtual opportunities for students to get to know us, because we know it's also just difficult for students to learn and know what they're looking for when they're not able to get on campus and really get the vibe. I think it's such a hard thing to define, like what a campus and what a college feels like. But at least from my experience going through the process myself, it's important. So, so we understand we're trying to do as much as we can, especially to get our students involved, to get our ambassadors involved, so our prospective students can hear those stories and can hear from students who are living it, whether they're on campus right now or not, and hear from them what the campus community and what the Lafayette community has done for them, how they've been able to take advantage of it, and also then how they're giving back too.
I think one of the silver linings of this virtual world that we're in right now is that I feel like high school students have access to a wider variety of people from the campuses, students, faculty, staff, that maybe it would be hard to pin those people down or to get, as many people engaged with prospective students as the colleges are able to do now, because it's a little bit easier to say, can you get on this Zoom call, for 30 minutes? And that's actually been really good, just being, and you mentioned the students, I think student to student, testimonials are, I think really what prospective students are relying on right now, because, and to your point, I fully agree, there is nothing that can replace an in-person visit to a campus. But unfortunately, where we're at right now, some of that will have to wait, and I've said to students, it's okay for you to go through the application process without having stepped foot on the campus, as long as you've explored things virtually. And let's just keep our fingers crossed about what the spring might look like. Maybe there's an opportunity to get on and do a regular visit in the spring as you're making decisions. But I think, the colleges have stepped up their game in terms of virtual opportunities and ways to really get the feel, I guess, across to students virtually. It's a hard task. So I don't envy you guys on the higher ed side. I'm sorry, but it's hard. It is hard. I know, especially when you're used to the actual experience speaking for itself, the campus. And I've been to Lafayette, and I totally agree. It's the kind of place that you really do have to go to really appreciate. It's beautiful. First of all, it's a beautiful space, and it feels like I would say a traditional college campus, like when you're there, you can see yourself playing Frisbee on the lawn, like that kind of stuff, or laying in a hammock. I think all that stuff kind of, again, seeing that for yourself is what we're used to doing at, high school students are used to doing. But I just told my students, focus on the things you can control right now, go through the process and do your best in this year, which is also a really challenging thing, I think, for all students to focus in the same ways that they would have, in the past. So let me ask one last question in terms of the application process. What about scholarships? How is that working? How, what happens with aid and scholarships with Lafayette? Share a little bit about that.
Sure. So need-based scholarships, the process hasn't really changed. That's all the same. And really, merit scholarships, the process hasn't changed either, except that there isn't testing required for those either, which I'm really happy about. So, so need-based first, we do meet full demonstrated need of any student that we're able to accept. So I think that's a really important thing, and hopefully can make us affordable, even if the sticker price is a scary one. And I understand we're a private institution and what that looks like and everything, but
you're not the only one.
I know, yes, and I mean that makes me feel a little better. But exactly, that's what need-based financial aid is for. So if families are expecting to qualify for need-based financial aid, fill it out and use the resources that you have beforehand to see, what you might expect to receive in terms of need-based financial aid. We all have to have the net price calculator on our websites. We also have a tool called My Intuition, which is even a little bit faster, few less questions, but honestly should still give you a pretty good sense of what your family's going to receive in terms of financial aid. So that's a super important thing to start with, as well as just meeting deadlines for those. And then for merit scholarships, which we do have, not many of them, and they are quite large in value. The biggest one is in fact a full tuition scholarship, and then a half tuition scholarship under that as well, along with some smaller awards. So there's no extra application for those. All students are automatically considered, and it just tends to be the very tip top of our pool. Last year it was about the top 7% of our accepted students were awarded some kind of those merit scholarships.
Good. Well, this has been really helpful, Grace. And I think one of the great things about having conversations like these with my friends on the higher ed side is that students and families get to see that you are real people and that you are approachable. And, if people have questions about anything with Lafayette, I'm sure, I think probably the friendliness and openness extends to your entire admission team. If students are interested, how would they go about finding their appropriate admission counselor? Is that easy to find on the website, or how would they do that?
Yep. Yeah, it is pretty easy to find. So at lafayette.edu, admissions and aid is one of the first kind of links that comes up. And then there's a drop down and there's like a meet our team or meet the staff, whichever it is. But all of our information is listed there along, of course, with our contact information and our territories. So you can see I've got the entire state of Ohio and a bunch of pieces of Pennsylvania as well, along with a couple other states. So students can check that out, along with some kind of fun bios and little kind of information about us. So I hope it makes them, or kind of makes us a little bit more human. I understand that it's all kind of scary to think about someone looking over your application, but honestly, like, this is literally where I'll be doing it with my little bookshelf in the background. They're really seeing into what it really looks like. So I'm hoping that it's a little bit less scary. In the middle of winter, I'll probably have more candles burning.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, I love this. Well, it was good to see you, Grace. Thank you for taking the time to share more about Lafayette with us. And, again, fingers crossed that things get back to a little bit of normalcy. I'm glad everybody is, staying safe and healthy right now on campus for those who are there, and those students obviously doing things remotely. I'm sure they will hang in there and do just fine. But thanks for taking the time. And if anybody watching is interested in learning more about Lafayette, make sure you go to the website. They've got lots of virtual opportunities happening right now, in addition to, like Grace mentioned, the opportunity to come and do the self-guided tour on campus. But take the time to explore and really dig into what you're interested in. And if you've got questions, again, you've got great people that can actually, have a conversation with you one-on-one, and they're super helpful. I can attest to that in terms of the Lafayette staff and Grace. So thank you, Grace. It was great seeing you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.